We're going to be, so Doug, you got a good feel for what we got as far as a mix, huh? We've got conversion to B, someone looking to possibly convert from Intravet, and some guys that just went through it back in the back.
Okay.
So Doug's was with Intravet for how many years?
About 14.
14 years. We're great. It's great to have him on our team at ClienTrax. We've got a lot of ex-Intravet people at ClienTrax, so it's really nice when you want to look to convert from something to something else that we have trained people in ClienTrax as well as trained people with Intravet. We have Doug on our team, which we're going on several months now, just about a year, right, already?
1 year and 3 days.
1 year and 3 days. We just got Ben Coyle on our team. It was with Intravet for many years. We've got Craig Marcus and then, of course, Drake. So what we're going to do today is Doug's going to do kind of the first half. We'll probably kind of intermingle together. We're going to talk about paperless, paper light, some of those kind of concepts. ClienTrax can do really everything paperless that you want to do. We're going to talk about digital imaging in the second half and how that all ties together. I'm going to show you electronic dental charting, and I'm going to show you some, we're going to probably take some live x-rays on the dental side. We'll touch on the DR and the CR side and how it all ties together with ClienTrax. But we'll go through a presentation. It'll be a little bit informal. We'll probably tag team a little bit back and forth as imaging comes up or charting comes up. Doug may have me interject a little bit. We'll probably do kind of a half and half. Feel free to ask questions. I know what you guys have back in the back for your technology. I know what you guys have for your technology. You guys are looking at technology when it comes to digital. Were you there last Friday when I was there? No. Okay, so I did the sort of the presentation I'm going to do here at your clinic last Friday. We do have installs around. If you want references, we can give you references on clinics in the area that are using our stuff. We can give you references on clinics that have converted from Intravet to ClienTrax. It is a change, so get ready for it. These guys are going through it right now. But I'll turn it over to Doug, and Doug, you can take it away, and then let me know if you want me to interject, and we'll go from there.
Sounds good. Thank you, Jeff. Thank you. Well, again, I'll say as well, welcome. Thanks for coming. This is great to have you all be here, especially with a little bit of weather concerns and road conditions. Well, as Jeff said, as you guys know and have signed up for, we're here to talk a little bit about paperless record-keeping systems, maybe even throw in the term paper light sometimes. Doesn't mean you have to go full force and have a big bonfire in the back parking lot. Yes. Oh no, you're not going to do it that way, but we'll talk about some concepts, talk about some concerns, not really concerns, but more so just keep your mind and your plan in front of you. Don't hesitate to talk to people, especially us, but certainly we want to say and also thank a lot of our sponsors. These are a lot of the companies that we do use equipment with, have direct relationships with, and all play into this paperless type of file system and quick access for materials. Oops, sorry, okay. So
Doug, let me interject real quick, just so you guys know, and I think it's important to bring up in case I forget later. Tom is videotaping everything, and we're planning on having this whole entire presentation on YouTube. So we will send you an email with the YouTube link, so if you want to take it back and look at it, study it, share it with your associates, your docs, you use it for learning, anything you want to do. All of our seminars today, we have 3 separate sessions. This morning we did wellness plans and online appointment scheduling, and I know Patty was in for that. I thought that was very beneficial and helpful. I think the people over there got a lot out of it. This afternoon we're going to talk about inventory control. So if you can't make it to one or all the seminars, they're all going to be taped and they're all going to be on YouTube, and we'll have them available for you. Allegra stepped in right at the end. She's been a user for many years. What you said, you are going to have a bonfire? Yeah. So what you've done is essentially scanned all your records in. That's typical. Dr. Weitzman, we've met, he's a great user out in Boston. Went and visited him a year or so ago. He had the whole entire record system behind the reception area, there was just bolt holes where he had taken that whole thing down and sold it on eBay. He went from totally getting rid of all of his paper records to electronic medical records. What he does, they don't have any paper in the entire place. He's got integrated digital imaging, he's got integrated ultrasound, he's got integrated regular Fuji CR imaging, he's got EKG, ECG integrated and all recorded. I know doctors, Dr. Becker up in New York has a microscope camera that he integrates to the medical records, so you can see all the pathology and cytology and stuff in a microscope. Dr. Weitzman is paperless. They have 4 or 5 clipboards at their front reception area. They're laminated with, and he's got a Sharpie erasable marker. When a new client comes in, they write Fluffy Smith, you know, John Smith, John Doe, here's the email, here's the phone number, here's the weight, here's the, you know, age, all that. They give it to the receptionist. The receptionist enters that into ClienTrax one time and wipes it clean, and they don't have any paper in their entire facility. So they're 100% 4 or 5 doctor practice, 100% paperless, all in. And they got rid of their entire medical records by going, the sound of what you're doing is just going to scan everything in, attach it to the medical record, and go paperless. And what are where are you in the process?
We're completely scanned in. We are still doing our release forms, but scan them in and they're on. So we want to go to not having them. I actually have the clipboards ready to go. The
Clip gems?
Ready to go.
For those of you who don't know what a clip gem is, it's basically a USB clipboard. You plug it into a USB of a computer, and you print your rec form, or your, not rec forms, but any consent forms, okay? And the person signs it. It signs with a regular ink pen. It's not a regular ink pen, but it does have ink in it. And it also captures the electronic signature underneath onto the clipboard. So you can hand the client the original copy, and then the electronic copy gets saved into the file. And that's a technology called Clip Gem, G-E-M. Clip, C-L-I-P, G-E-M. And we've integrated.
Basically, it's I would say an overgrown clipboard. I mean, it's got the clip on the top, so you can hold your document in place. It's very snazzy. And the copy that they're signing on is the one that's handed over to the client. So technically, that piece of paper does not stay in your building.
So if you want to talk to Allegra about the typical scanner that she used, there's a lot of chatter on the user group. We have a Yahoo group, a ClienTrax user group. I recommend you sign up on that. There's a lot of talk on. It's basically a portal for ClienTrax users to get on and communicate with each other. It's not a sales and marketing website. It's kind of the user's website. Renee, Mike, some of us will kind of chime in sometimes for support, but it's primarily for users to share ideas and get ideas on things like, hey, I'm looking to go paperless, I want to scan all my medical records, what scanner would you recommend us purchasing? And so, I don't know if you found that on the user group or got your own or whatever, but I don't want to put you on the spot. Yeah, just if you want to know what it did work out okay for you.
It's wonderful. It's being from the back.
So either offline or later on, maybe she'll remember it. We can get that, or if you need it and want the brand and all that and the pricing, I'm sure Allegra could share that with you. All right, Doug, go ahead.
Oh, that's all right. That's all right. I mean, this is going to be an open forum for all of us, and we want to have that discussion, question and answer too. But if anything has worked out, put Allegra on the spot. But you know, if something does work out or have a concern or question, please stop any of them. As we're talking, you know, really what Jeff's getting toward is defining what paperless means. There is a different definition for every single user, every single company. So you first have to know what it means to you, what your definition or desires are. Okay, what are the goals here involved? Are we planning to unbolt the file cabinet wall away from this place? get rid of all those file charts that seem to grow legs and walk away? Or are we also trying to just effectively or financially cut down on some costs of materials? Even communication outside of our company, sending things home with the clients electronically, let alone to colleagues, specialists, the referring doctor who sent the client to us in the first place, because we are the specialist, okay? So there's many different objectives that you want to see that play into what this definition means to you. And then of course, kind of what we're just talking about here, you know, we'll pick brain at those who've gone through it. How did you get there? How long did it take? You know, all this. It's going to be different, of course, for every different environment. But we also need to have that roadmap. And that roadmap may change a little bit as we get into it. But, you know, that's ultimately what all of us are there to support you with.
How long was the process for you to get everything scanned?
We did it by we have all of our A++ clients that we use see again that have the files. we test ran and got used to it doing our own personal files, and then we started on those, and by the time we were done with the big clients, we were able to, instead of being overwhelmed, okay, we're going to scan everything constantly, you know, and somebody was scanning all the time. My call desk person would scan in the next day's chart, attach them, and then we'd go from there. And then I also hired a college student at night, and anything they did get scanned at one time, she would attach. So, and we just used one of our own file cabinets and emptied the file out, scanned it in, and then put it just like they were filing it. And then she would pull it off herself.
That's easily a perfect example of moving anything into a new electronic environment, even as basic as starting to use an appointment calendar, which we kind of talk about a little bit here too, even though we're focusing on medical records. Does everybody use appointment calendar on their current software? Okay, so remember back in the day when you were like, we got to get all these in. Yeah, well, what did you do? Like, hit the nail on the head. You worked the day ahead. And then you got so quick at working one day ahead, oh, well, I got time now in that same 10-minute window, I can do another day ahead. And by that time, you have the whole paper calendar done, you can throw it away. Now you've got everything going electronically on the screen.
We did store records for another year in case we found an issue, but that's why we're ready to do a bonfire now.
Yeah, don't get me wrong when we say throw it away or have a bonfire. Yeah, we're not talking immediate. You do want to have that kind of that leeway buffer.
Keeping the charts and not getting them scanned in, because that just, we started that way and that was a mess. Trying to go ahead and pull the chart and just start from, I had some other clinics that started from scratch. They wanted to start on
A to Z.
You made your paperless day, the records from then on were in the computer, and then they still had to carry the paper records around. That's a mess. I highly recommend just getting them in the system. You end up with a huge file for ClienTrax, but it works a whole lot better, and then you can pull it collectively. I brought my tablet.
Well, we got some time.
Yeah.
We got some time before we talk about tablets too. So.
I'm just thinking, so you don't go looking for charts.
You'll see in the patient record when we get into the software, there'll be green check marks under the tabs, like the SOAP tabs, or what, you know, and so you'll be able to see that there's something in that record, a lab or an image or notes or wherever you're gonna. They'll go when you scan something into the record, it'll show up green with a green check mark. It'll have a red X if nothing's there. So if you look at and you'll be able to see the medical record and see there's a medical record there. So you'll be able to see that your patient has a medical record, and you'll be able to see which record it is because they're numbered. And then when you're scrolling from one medical record to the next, you'll be able to look at the different tabs to see if something's in that tab. And Doug, we'll get into that in the demo.
Well, and also, and those scanned old documents, how do you know? That comes under the guise of inter-office communication. Most people take a big old red Sharpie and X on the front of the chart, or a check mark or something of that nature. So, or go into a special location or something to that effect. Yeah. Again, you know, well, this goes into, you know, kind of a little segue of, you know, you don't want that to happen, okay? And that's what we're
I got to follow this.
What we expect.
Michael, I don't have bombs going off, man.
If any of you folks here have known those of us who have come with ClienTrax in the last 20 years, you're going to get this a lot. And if you don't know us, welcome to the party, right? Okay. So truly, this is the concern. You know, what have people gone through and struggled? Great. Let's feed off of that, but not get scared about it. If we don't think about things and plan things or talk about it, get it out in the open, well, we don't want to see the mushroom cloud, but you know, that's what we want to avoid, okay? So that main objective, creating that paperless environment, we are needing to understand one big main concept. I mean, this is why we're doing it. You're not chasing that paper record, but otherwise you're going and finding a computer, and everybody's got simultaneous access. That's a big pro to this whole situation, okay? Not the, where's that thing? Let me put you on hold. I got to go find it, so on and so forth. Okay. And
as you saw in the presentation this morning, we have a mobile app now where you can access, if you have those records paperless, Patty's shaking her head, you can see the value in farm call, next farm call, I got to go back in for an emergency, what I do, you know, I'm at lunch, what I do last time. You don't have to go into the hospital or clinic and pull the file. You can access it now with our mobile app. You can access those records from anywhere you have an internet connection, on any device.
Absolutely. Main goal, continuity, okay? Where everything is going to be a quicker access, maybe a little more organized access. Say that carefully for some people, but you know, again, maybe that is one of the main reasons that we're tackling this kind of process, okay? So let's talk about conversion. You've got these areas that we have to look at. You know, what's our process? What are our steps and our plans? We've got to look at, we've already touched a little bit about the devices. I mean, technology is going to help us with these things, of course. And then ultimately, now we've got all of these ideas, put the steps together, and run through it. Okay? Your workflow is part of this process, okay? We've got to figure out together what's going to be the best for your practice. And then also going into with your equipment and the devices, a big part of it is the question, are you going to have computers in your exam rooms or not? And if not, okay, we can easily have them right outside the hallway or however that layout is in the pharmacy area or the countertops right outside the door from the room. We got into a little discussion there about the dry erase marker system. Okay, that's a great viable tool to communicate from one location, no computer, to a location with computer. Okay, that little indented point right in there too, we're going to mention this a couple of times here throughout our discussion today, is you want to be careful if that computer is in the exam room that you're not doing this to your clients. Are you guys a little bit upset that I have my back to you right now? You know, this is not a good presentation. Even though my desk, you might need to pull the computer around to the side and at least be able to talk and look up if you, the doctor, are typing and conversing with the client. Yes. Okay. And getting into the devices aspect, we haven't talked about it right here, but do we have cabling into the room versus do we have an effective wireless network capability? And that comes into another thing. Do we have interference that doesn't allow us with our cinder block walls? So, all of these things truly come together. But, with the workflow, with the devices, put all the steps together. We need to know the who, what, and where on how we're getting the information put into the system, okay? And build around that, okay? Yes?
Tons?
Yeah, tons, yeah.
About almost every one, especially if they have steel and or block.
Well, okay, you're talking about internet access coming from outside so that you had that's becoming less and less, okay? Internet companies are able to, they have cables run, the phone system, the DSL, all of your major players, even the small guys are helping out and take care of the small towns. I'm going to be going on a trip to Wisconsin next week, just kind of talking with them a little bit, and they say, oh yeah, we don't do email yet with ClienTrax, so we want to put that into play. Okay, great. Who's your carrier? Oh, it's just this little company here in town, and great. Has your internet been great? Oh yeah, no problems. So the service has been less of an issue. The wireless bubble inside the clinic, we'll take our own laptops, hook it up wirelessly, and walk around. Okay, dead zone. Okay, I got signal. That's the cinder block issue.
And you manage it just by putting your Linksys router in the right place in your clinic if you have that issue. I mean, you're gonna want it where you're shown.
So, right, there you go. Having cable going at least to one location through the blocks, and then there's your other router, other wireless signal. So room to room, but hey, you take care of that cost. And now you can have 5 computers in that area. If we're not doing the equipment, the local IT support definitely needs to, before we would get there, before we talk about a lot of these ideas and plans, let's not buy a whole thousands upon thousands of dollars of equipment and then, oh, it doesn't work because we can't connect. You got to string cable or come up with other ideas. It's frustrating. Mushroom cloud. Okay? All right, so those things will help. So yeah, time equals money. If you didn't hear it from the low volume cha-ching. We need to also evaluate with this workflow who's going to be typing information in, who's the best resource for doing that, okay? Probably don't have to worry about saying this in here. Individuals who are good typers versus hunt and peckers, right? No, that's not you. You're not hunt and pecker, are you? You are?
But I'm fast.
Okay, well, fast hunt and pecker. Okay, so that's not too bad. We'll pick on doctors. Doctors probably do a little bit more of this, okay? Rightfully so. All right. But for the rest of us, does that help? Do we need to help, I should say? Should there be a shadow staff person in the vicinity so that the doctor, again, doesn't have to turn their back to the client? I'm conversing, but my shadow staff hears everything. It's indirect dictation, okay? I believe my own father did that even in their paper system. They had a person writing on the chart while he's at the table with the animal, with the client, and that person runs out of the room immediately when he says, yeah, I'm going to set this up that we're going to give X number of fills for this drug, and we'll just do it so many times a day for about 14 days. There's the order, ran out the door. That was without a computer system. I witnessed that kind of stuff. Yes, sir. We got a couple of thoughts about those things too. Yes, devices that get your information into the program itself. All kinds of input devices. Voice recognition, scanners we already talked about, of course mouse keyboard. We're look for even the text recognition. We can do some of that too with OCR types of machinery. Okay.
Or write a record and scan it in right away. I mean, we have people doing it all different kind of ways. If you have a doctor that just wants to write records, just have a scanner sitting right there, write the record and put it right in, and boom, it's done.
And there's a comfort zone with it that this feels faster, which fine, probably right now it is faster because we haven't practiced this for 20 years.
My hunt and peckers have gotten really, really, really fast now. They don't even think about it.
You just move into it and go from there. Renee, you had a point to?
In talking about this whole process, I see not everyone has the budget to add more text to their payroll to do that, that you were talking about. Let the doctor face the client and examine the patient while the tech is doing the typing. But if you think about budget constraints, actually that does make you a lot more efficient if you have the budget to start off that way, because then you don't have to go out and tell the tech what you need them to do. They already know because they typed it in listening to you. They run out the door and go get the meds ready, and you're already through that appointment and off to the next person. You can see more appointments in the day. Not only does that make you happier because you're making more money to pay for those extra techs, it makes me happier as the person that's in there with you because I need to get my animal out of there and get back to work. So there's some things to consider when you're looking at efficiency.
I was actually able to go down on staffing because I didn't have to hire that person to do all the filing and all that kind of stuff anymore.
Hopefully eventually. And let's not say down in staffing,
well, I had someone willingly leave.
Okay, yeah, and didn't have to replace. Right, and didn't have to replace, but also shift of need and duty, and again, be more effective, cost effectiveness, the cha-ching in the early slide, you know, things like that. Okay, so part of even that change in workflow, your receptionists can be and would be more focused not only on the appointment taking, but check-in. And with a lot of our activity with our program, the check-in process has extra steps for that front staff, but those extra steps don't bog the system down. It facilitates the whole system in total. Okay, we are taking things off of the front receptionist's plate too, because notice I'm also mentioning they're handling information requests, things like, oh, I need a reprint of, okay, for the client, but also the final checkout, total out, and taking money, taking payment, okay, the discharge. So notice in that list, the front staff never was really typing in the charges, which takes a little bit extra time, okay? Shift of duties that we were talking about. So the back staff, second point up here, is that rest of medical record, the prescription label creation, the charge listings, the treatment plan, all of the value to the exam, okay? What is the client paying for? Let's shift all that to the backside, if you will, as part of the medical record. Goes along with all the notes. Why are they here? What's going on? What are my observations? What are the measurements and the vitals and so on? Okay? So now we're segueing a little bit. Already talked about some of those devices that we'd be using, of course we all know this, why we're here, computers, okay? Allegra's charging up her tablet, okay? We can kind of see one of those where it's a little bit smaller screen. Some tablets would be if we took Jeff's laptop apart, or you got those newer type of convertibles where the screen spins and then it goes flat over the keyboard. It's a touch screen, okay? You get a virtual keyboard possibility on the screen. That's where you truly hunt and peck, because you're holding it with one and you got to peck with the other, okay? But you know, all of these mechanisms we'd be using.
It's been fun because each of our doctors have a place that they liked to go write charts in. In that place, they now have a docking station sitting there that they can stick their tablet on and they can sit there and type.
And become a regular computer. Exactly.
Can you use an iPad with it?
Yes, with some coordination and usage with iPads. You still have to have certain software that becomes a virtual machine or session to the server.
Just help me out. What is the difference between a tablet and a laptop?
Tablet is more of a touch screen, not a keyboard. A laptop you're looking at right here. There you go, tablet.
So it looks just like an iPad.
Keyboard also.
Right.
Oh.
It looks just like an iPad, it's just Windows based.
Yeah.
Okay.
It's the name of the Windows base.
Now, is this platform neutral? Because I'm running Android. I guess she has Windows. Then you got Apple.
You would have to use a virtual.
You would have to use a remote desktop RDP type of connection to your server.
So Allegra, each one of
these has a ClienTrax on.
okay. Do you have one per room? Do you have one per veterinarian?
One per doctor, and I moved in steps. So we're moving in stages right now, and we're getting ready to take the next stage because I didn't want to completely overwhelm my staff. We've been running around doing the whiteboard things. My staff are now going to have 2 of these to play with because my owner and I are going to upgrade to newer ones since the new Windows tablets, the next generation, has come out. We did go ahead and put Windows 8 on these, even though they were running Windows 7 when we bought them, and it's made a huge difference even in the functionality of them. I was really surprised. So we've effectively, right now we've got 4 of these running around our practice. We have 4 veterinarians, but one shares because we only have one that's not there at the same time the other one is. So, and each one has a user for everybody, so that they can have whatever background they want or any of that kind of stuff. And it just makes it nice even for me doing inventory as the practice manager, because I can take this with me instead of having paper to write on. So that's why I have one.
How do you make sure they don't get lost?
It's pretty hard to lose them, and they all have to go back to a place. I actually bought one of those heavy-duty metal file things, and these just literally slide right in just like cards at the end of the day, and they go in at the end of the day. That's where all the plugs are, and they all plug in, and that's where it's like a charging station.
So the vet pretty well has the same tablet all day.
And then 2 of the staff members will run around with, you know, per room. We've got 4 rooms. By the time it's all said and done, they each have, you know, it'll basically the record hands off to the vet on their tablet. So, you know, it does make it so that you don't have to, you know, being paperless makes it so that you don't have to worry about handing off that chart or.
Well, I'm asking these questions because ours is going to be installed here shortly. We have the ClienTrax part on our computers, but we don't have training yet. But ClienTrax was suggesting that we put a computer, a workstation, outside our exam rooms because the veterinarians did not.
I also have 4 individual workstations, standard PC.
So what do the
computers.
vets use?
They use a mixture of both. It just depends on what's closest to them, honestly.
Yeah, that's just going to say, run to a computer, not to a file.
Yes.
So wherever it is. Yeah. If they have something that's ready for them to cradle and take into a room, and they want to take it into a room, that's their prerogative.
Well, I'm trying to figure out what do we need for the vets. I have what we need for reception.
I recommend this, and this is why. It made it so they still had something in their hands. It was a comfort thing for them. They wanted to have something in their hand to look like a chart, look important, like they do.
Hey.
But they
We can say this now they're watching it on the video, but we're all busted. We're all busted. Now, last year, or well, maybe before last year, but we were talking about this. How many tablets did you have this time last year?
4.
Okay, so you did have 4 last year. Progression. Take me back even further though. Did you start with 1, try things out, make people jealous? Okay, that might be your sell to what do the doctors get? You know, do they want it yet? They may not want it.
What they have, I just got to
I will tell you, we don't have ClienTrax, we have Intravet, but we still have 4 workstations and 4 tablets. I never touch my tablet. My technician has it all the time. So, and my associates, they always have their tablets, and their technician does not have it. But so it's what the doctor gets comfortable with, and what your technician gets comfortable with. You'll find.
So
that
I didn't hear you mention workstation.
We have workstations.
Do they use them?
Yes, I use mine. That's all I use.
Oh, that's what you use.
I
The
hate
technician
writing
uses
on the
the
tablet.
tablet.
I hate
don't-
writing. So
don't-
it becomes a.
Don't think, and this has been my experience, there's been some disappointments out there where people think they're going to take a tablet and they're going to use the screen on the tablet and type. That doesn't work. You can, if you...
Better with Windows 8.
Yeah, okay.
So you
but a docking station like Michael has or like Allegra has, where you can put it in and use a keyboard and then take it in the room and show charts, show images, show stuff is really cool. But thinking you're going to sit there and have a doctor or anybody for that matter type on these little screens is just, it's just not
Our
feasible.
tablets are the swivel. They swivel up. They have the keyboard on them. They swivel down. They become.
That's your, yeah, those are your convertibles.
Yes.
They convert back and forth.
I just didn't like typing on the small keyboard, and so I ended up. My technician takes it around for all her stuff, and I use the workstation.
I think the moral of the story, so we can really move on, is there's a lot of really cool hardware out there and devices that Doug's talking about. Do your research, do your homework, and do what you think is best fit for your clinic. And you may, like Sandra said, she goes to a workstation every single time, and her associates go to a tablet every single time. It just depends on what you're comfortable with.
Okay.
And what you think your staff's going to be comfortable with.
Buy a computer, buy it from an outlet where you get 30 days return policy.
That's why you started with one and you got
Right, exactly. That's what I say, baby steps in that case. Other devices we've already talked about. You know, here's voice recognition. We do entertain the idea. Okay. Other things like scanning in the major charts. You want to get a good scanner of sorts. And then also, what else can we do with other equipment that may already be in the office, or things that you're looking to purchase in the near future, to say, okay, well, we have this possibility with our informatics software, database software, that we can integrate other aspects outside of the file system to put into the file system. Okay? So we've been touching on these areas here, pros and cons of the whole situation. Certainly we're looking at this real-time access for the files. We're increasing that technology perception in the client's minds. Okay, kind of a little bit easier to pay that bill to us. They're seeing, hey, this is what I'm getting, great care. I'm getting the kind of care that I personally would see in a human hospital. Okay, that's the kind of perception we want to give to our clients a lot of times. And certainly that added value, being able to display things, take a tablet or a screen, having a screen in the exam room to show some pictures, or in some cases, I was just recently at a clinic in California. Their new location and build, their plan was, and we put the largest display screen, high definition digital, into an area in the business office that was going to be a conference table, so they could have a consult with a client to show very specific, fine-tuned digital images on this nice big wide screen. Okay, so all those kinds of things are going to be playing into our goals, what we want to see. Now, of course, what do we need to be concerned with that we can wrestle and alleviate, but we also need to be aware of? The learning curve, all right? Yes, this is the biggest pill to swallow. Training, right? But with that learning curve comes hands-on, the familiarity, and then as like you were saying, I'm really good at hunting and pecking. Why? Because you keep doing it, right? You never stop and say, I hate this, right? Don't give up. Don't give up on those goals, okay? Most rooms, we talked about this, most rooms, not totally ready, or buildings are designed to have PCs in every nook and cranny that you'd love to have. Now there's some technology that's helping us with this. The tablets, the laptops, the convertibles, small foot space for your pre-existing buildings. Even now in the last, how long have we been doing it? A year with all-in-ones? Stationary, or a little longer than, a little bit longer. So all-in-one computers, meaning there's no case or tower that's going under the table and taking up my leg space. The drive and the processor and the disk drive is all behind the monitor, and your CD tray shoots out the top off to the side, and all your plugs are right there.
Just a little bit more history on that. They've actually been around for years.
True. Yeah.
12 years ago, we had some of the earliest ones in our office, and we had to get rid of them because the fans were entirely too noisy to really function as a business. But as soon as the technology solidified, the price started coming down, and then when it became reasonable, that's when we definitely started recommending them for exactly the points Doug's mentioned.
Come by our booth. The two we have on our booth, in our front of our booth. These are all-in-ones. The really nice thing about them is the cleanest place in your clinics is the countertops, because you wipe those down about 50 times a day. I've seen it over my lifetime. The dirtiest place is the corner where the computer tower sits, with the fan sucking in all the hair. It gets that up off the floor. The computers are going to last a lot longer. The ones we have are touch screen, which are probably not that practical for in use with your hands and gloves and everything, but they do have wireless. So if you don't have a computer network cord, you can just use them like you would a laptop.
All-in-ones are
wireless.
touch screen?
They are touch. The ones we have in our booth are touch screen. Okay, but the key thing I like about them is their wireless keypad mouse. So I can have my screen on my countertop, and I can have my mouse on the exam or my keyboard and mouse on the exam table. I know I can see, so I'm not doing the scenario that Doug got into, turning my back to type. So I can bring the keyboard over to the side, and I can have the screen right here, and I can be typing and looking at the screen. The client's over here. I can talk to them, type, look at the screen, type, and you're not going like this all day, with your back to them.
I'm sure holes to drill in that nice new countertop that you're building and redesigning in your exam rooms, blah, 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 okay? So just need a power cord.
Just power and an outlet, and you're good to go.
Okay? A lot of different factions of that. But, let's get over that hump with these new pieces of technology if our room isn't designed as such, okay? Well, so the doctor eye contact, yeah, we basically hit pretty much every kind of point there to counteract those types of cons. Okay, so put the integration into this. Okay, why are we doing this? More power to our company, efficiency, running this business. Okay, and of course access. We keep talking about that, access to the information. Okay, yeah, I know, a little technology stuff. Connect from anywhere. Now, we haven't hit too much of this. I think there was one little bit mentioned to this, is we're not just talking about anymore inner office connection, but if we don't have trouble with internet companies out to the outer world, do we have high-speed internet? Now a lot of people are coming to us and talking about, I want to connect from home. Not that you're going to really want to take work home, but you want to have that access if you have on-call after-hours doctors to have a little bit of access to some file records. Okay, we're also, and we have one of our colleagues with a point master. This is another connection from home aspect with, even if it's a smartphone, to look at our coming appointments, a little bit of our file management and so on was mentioned too.
You don't want to take work home with you, but let's say you're halfway home, dang it, I forgot to call so-and-so back. You can just boom, right up on your hand, on your mobile. You can click on their phone number and call them right on the way home and say, hey, here's the record, here's what happened, here's da-da-da-da-da.
But it also plays into the flexibility of your own schedule, allowing folks to get away from the office for a little bit of time to take care of maybe personal aspects, and then knowing and having comfort that once they're done with that later in the evening, I can jump back into and finish that record or that note or my thoughts and put everything down on virtual paper.
Or home at lunch, look at my schedule, nothing coming in for the first 2 slots, something coming in pretty minor that the staff can take care of, put a couple more loads of laundry in, whatever you need to do to be more efficient.
What this takes us into, Jeff talks a little bit more about the digital, parts of the puzzle. Because I know if you want to look at it and see some of these slides or talk about any of these aspects too.
Let me go ahead and jump in here now. I think I pretty much know what some of you, what do you got here to click, the side clicker?
Yeah.
I think I know pretty much what everybody has in the room as far as technology. The guys in the back have a Fuji CR and a new portable equine, very similar to what the setup that Dr. Kesson has and Sandra. They have ultrasound in the back as well. So what we were in the process of doing with a new conversion install there is getting their CR, their DR panel from the field, and their ultrasound and their digital dental all integrated. We have CR, stands for computed radiography, and I'm not going to go into too much of this because I think you guys are looking at some of it. You've done some research. Most everybody in here has their solutions, but CR stands for computed radiography. Use an phosphor imaging plate to replace film cassette. Use it on in the bucky tray or in the table just like you would film, and then you have to put the cassette in a device, or in the case of the ClienTrax, you take the plate out of the cassette and feed it through the device. It scans and erases in the same pass. And that process usually takes about anywhere between 30 to 60 seconds depending on the machine and depending on the size of the imaging plate you're running through it. The ClienTrax technology will run something as small as a number 2 size dental film all the way up to a 14 by 17 or a 14-inch wide by any length. There's common CR systems in the market. We handle, the one we lead with is called the Agfa CR10. It looks kind of like a big laser printer, and I got a picture of it. I'm not gonna get in too much into the technology. We can talk offline if you want to, but for the sake of the rest of the group, I know Allegra has a ClienTrax as well. I do have my dental system set up, which I'd like to spend some time on because it is pretty cool and it's unique, and nobody has a system like this. And I think there's some folks in the room that either just brought it in or are looking at possibly bringing something like that in. I know you have the accent, you talked about that yesterday. Michael in the back is one of our sponsors with Rance. This is our leading DR panel, and for those of you, we don't get a chance to show this very often, but this is a DR panel. This is a 17 by 17 panel that mounts directly into your x-ray. Basically what we do is we retrofit this directly into where your current bucky tray sits. So if you're looking to, if your ClienTrax dies, I know you've had it a long time, either one of you, if you're looking to upgrade, this is basically a 17 by 17 panel. Michael, do you want to add anything to it? It's a very well known, very popular panel.
There are 2 versions of that, and the difference is the simulator itself. The most popular one is a GADOX version, very cost effective. Very similar in price to a premium CR system, and you get the advantage of increased workflow. The season high that is a premium product. It's a little faster, costs a little bit more money. So that's a decision that you can talk about with Jeff as to what's best for your location. He's showing you a current model. It is a rather weighty product. and designed to replace your Bucky tray. We're going to be releasing a cassette tray detector, which is going to be much more streamlined, lightweight, and performance is going to exceed all the other detectors on the market currently at a very competitive price.
You guys are unique. You don't do large animal anymore. You got the other three of you guys do. The other three of your clinics are very similar. Okay, you guys could learn some stuff from both Sandra and Westview back there. They both have CR in the clinic, and they both have a DR portable, right? An advantage of CR in the clinic, frankly, is I've got a Nomad, which I love, and advantage of, sorry Michael, hate to do that, I mean, different strokes for different folks. I'll be honest with you, we sell about equal 50-50, okay? Of the systems that we've been installing, about 50% DR panels and about 50% AGFA CR is what we promote now. A nice thing about CR is I can take an imaging plate anywhere in the clinic. I can go into surgery, I can do a cystotomy, I can put a plate, I don't know if you have a Nomad? Do you use it in surgery?
I haven't tried
Okay,
it, no.
but you can put a plate behind a bladder, bring the bladder up out of the body cavity, do some surgery, bring this Nomad in, and then this is going to be like a cookie cutter. It's like a flashlight. I can put this down on a plate and pull the trigger, and I have a bunch of little circles on the plate when I scan it. Or I can pull it away. You guys are shaking your head. We use it on that dog up there that he had a broken leg. So you pull it away, and the bigger you get away, the farther you get away from the plate, the bigger the circle gets. Okay, and we'll get into. I'll shake. We got this in the booth too and everything. So, DR versus CR, personal preference, workflow, the images, the integration, everything is basically the same. These days with the systems that we recommend, again, Michael, sorry, but this is the way we look at it. This is the way we present it. There's no difference between what we have here in this room, which is the way we look at this stuff now is these are plug and play peripherals. These are devices, like Doug was talking about, that in this case allow you to get a digital image into your electronic medical record. We're not promoting this as Progeny or Cotro or Eklund, or those are nothing different than a company that takes a panel exactly like this, probably about 80% of the veterinary systems in the market today are using a panel just like that. There's only about 4 or 5 manufacturers of these in the world. Okay, now there's more brands than that being sold, but there's not a lot of manufacturers of this type of equipment. There's 5 manufacturers of CR equipment: AGFA, Fuji, Konica, Scanex, and they're all very, very, very similar these days. There's like 4 or 5 manufacturers of DR panels, and they're all very, very similar. This is a plug. When you have a system like ClienTrax that is fully integrated beyond belief. When I was with Webster about 8 years ago, I stood up in front of a user meeting and I talked about all this integration that we were going to do, okay? They're still talking about all the integration they're going to do 8 years later. We've done it here. It's phenomenal. The integration is fantastic, and I'm going to show you where we've got some dental integration going on where you don't even need any other software. You can take images directly into ClienTrax without having any other software like Metron or Michael's. We still use their acquisition software to acquire the image and to mark the anatomy and to Q&A and zoom and crop and all that stuff. We bake the cake and then we save the perfectly baked cake. So we still use their XMARO View software, which is really user-friendly and easy to use with our panel, but we don't even have to use that intermediate software with the dental now because it goes directly into the medical record. Mike and I worked on it, Mike programmed it, and there's nothing like it in the market. So we're pretty excited about that. All right, so I'm not going to dwell on any more on the devices unless you have questions. We can talk about it after the fact. Tom, you want to add anything?
No, I think
cover it?
I think that covers it.
All right. Yeah.
If they're still debating on whether to go digital or not.
Yes.
When we debated wiffle waffle back and forth for a long time, And when we finally made the jump, we're CR at our clinic, but when we finally made the jump, in the first year I got inspected, and so I had to run all those magic numbers to find out we had increased the amount of x-rays that we had taken by 800%. That was how many more x-rays we took going digital. Because instead of going, okay, I'm pretty sure that pin's set right, you went and took it. You went and took that X-ray, or you took more than one X-ray because it didn't take you 15 minutes to run one X-ray.
So was that on full body and dentistry, or just full body?
Just full body.
Wow.
We haven't done dentistry.
So very,
yet.
very typical to take 30%, 40%, 50% more X-rays for a lot of different reasons. Main reason is that the a guy named Matt Wright talked about digital X-ray years ago. He had used this term called psychodrama around taking X-rays. The psychodrama is that a technician couldn't get a good technique, okay? The problem was not the technician, is not you guys. The problem is the processor that you're using was designed to run 25 plates or more an hour, or films, okay? You're running 2 or 3 or 4 or 5 a day. So all the chemicals, all the film, all the silver and all that stuff settling out. The other big issue is temperature. Those things are the chemistry is very, very sensitive to temperature. A lot of the clinics I go into, the processor, the X-ray room and the X-ray processors on the very back wall with the north wind blowing on it today. You know, and the temperature fluctuates in those rooms. In the summer, it's 10 degrees warmer and 20, so it's a 20-degree swing in the back corner of it's either the sun beating on the block wall or the cold wind blowing on the wall, and it's cold and the temperature fluctuates. So most of you have seen the advantages of DR, CR. For those of you, Patty, that haven't, there's a lot of good feedback in this room. And so I'm not going to talk too much about hardware anymore. We have great CR systems, we have a great DR panel, and we have a great sensor, okay? And it's not about some brand, Cotro or Eklund or Sound. It's about the wheelhouse. It's about using your practice management software to drive all of this technology. And that's what we have, and that's what we dwell on. And these are, don't get me wrong, we need good quality vendors like Michael to represent and to sell to you guys, but we don't dwell on the hardware itself. We dwell on how are we going to integrate it into your practice management, because that's what drives everything, and that's what saves you all the time and efficiency, okay? Again, I've sold a lot of AGFA recently. We've got a CR10. It's a great product. If you want to see it, I'll show it to you. I've sold a lot of Fujis in my day. I know I sold Westview Fuji about 7, 8 years ago. I've sold some Konica, Carestream. That's pretty much IDEXs, and then at least two of you in the room have All-Pro. And I was a national sales manager for All-Pro for 3 years, so I know that product very well. Tom worked for All-Pro for a while as well, for many years actually with All-Pro. Sensor. We have a DR sensor here. Again, guys, I look at this sort of as a plug-and-play piece of hardware. You have a USB cord, you have a hub, and you have a sensor, okay? There's a few manufacturers of these sensors in the world. No one makes one bigger than a 2. There are some CR devices that will allow you to run a phosphor imaging plate from a size 2 to about a size 4 through the CR. There's a product called the Duo, which is a nice product. I know, talking to Sandra yesterday, they can run littler plates through their big ScanX. So there's some flexibility there. You can as well. Okay. Any questions about DR or CR? You guys good? I'm not going to dwell on it anymore. Okay, so let me go into what I get real excited about, and that's what we just developed. And about a year and a half ago, Drake and I were looking to join Mike and Renee at ClienTrax, and we had a relationship with Dr. Beckman, who was the president of the American Vet Dental College at that time, and he said, man, if someone could ever develop an electronic dental chart, that would be a game changer in the industry. And he goes, I just don't think anybody's going to be able to do it, because I've been asking for it for years and I just can't get anybody that can do it. So we had a conference. Drake and I got Dr. Beckman on the line with Mike, and we had a conference call. In about 3 days, Mike had this electronic dental chart done, okay? And there's nothing like this in the market. And then about 3 to 4 months ago, I said, Mike, if we could incorporate taking dental x-rays directly into the dental chart, it would be nothing like it in the industry. So that's exactly what we've done. We have the Vatech sensor here that we can sell you. Okay, if you don't have digital dental, we can just plug and play this right into your existing ClienTrax. We are integrated with Schick. We are integrating with ProImage, Progeny, and all these companies. I just met with all of them at the WVC in Vegas, and we're going to integrate all those. But we have Schick and our sensor, our Vatech sensor or Rayance sensor done now. So, for those of you that are familiar and have seen this, I've got, do we have a, what's going on? Well, I guess we're off the screen, aren't we, Doug? Can we move the, does that have enough cord, or? That's probably, we can get rid of the messenger over here if you want. There you go. All right. So over here are my clients. So I've got Mrs. Abbott here, and Mrs. Abbott has Chloe, Max, and Tika. For those of you, this is our client card, and these are our patients within our client card. These two windows are always up on ClienTrax, and for those of you that are switching from Intravet, your action buttons, or what do you call them in Intravet, Doug? Or what do they call them? Their action buttons, or all of the things you do up here at the top?
Mostly your buttons that you had in your inner windows in Intravet are going to be found up in our toolbar at the top. But I also, for us Intraveterans, refer to that column over on the far left as the perpetual F3 window. Okay, she got it, she got it.
There's a couple of ways I can get into the medical record and start looking at dental charting and taking dental x-rays and acquiring integrated digital x-rays. And the quickest and most easy way is just to highlight the patient here and click on the medical records button, which is right here. I could also double click on the patient here and bring up the patient card within the client card, okay, and double click on the medical record right here. So since I'm there, I'm just going to do it there. And I double click, and this brings me up, and it shows me that Tika has 20 medical records in the system, and I can see that because there's 20 of 20. You'll notice, as I said earlier, Patty, this X means that there's nothing in that medical record tab. This is kind of like what we call a SOAP. Some people call SOAP. This is the problem. This is the exam. This is the image. These are the notes, and this is the treatment. Okay.
As a software option, if your staff or your owner is more involved with the SOAP format, we can change that in our software so that those tabs do reference it more so as the SOAP style acronym.
So these would be changed to the SOAP style format. Okay. So in ClienTrax, there's two main things you have to realize. I is for insert, and E is for edit. So anytime I want to, you guys are smiling, it takes a little while to get used to. It'll become second nature in about another week or two. E, anytime I want to make a change to a record, I use E. Anytime I want to insert a new record, I use I. Okay? In this case, I'm just going to scroll back, and I'm going to click on the image tab because that's what I'm here to talk about. And I can see right here that I had 2 images acquired in this medical record earlier today, and I've got a before and after. So if I want to see the before and after, I can just click on this. Instead of double clicking, I single click, and I can see the before and after. Okay? So if I want to do a before prophy and an after prophy, I can do that, and I can save it here in the medical record. If I want to tab back and forth in the record, I just click on this back button, and now I'm in medical record 17 of 20. And you can see in the medical record, if there's green in the medical record, that means there's something in that tab. If they're red, that means there was no labs done for that particular exam or that particular medical record. Okay? So here's an exam. Now I can use templates, and I can preload and customize templates. So every time that I'm going to do a feline dental, say, I can choose I'm going to insert a new record here. And I can go in and I can use a template. Okay, so when I select the template, I guess I don't have anything loaded for that template, but I can preload so that I can set up my medical terminal or my medical protocol, so that every time we do a geriatric dog, we're going to check these 6 things, and we're gonna mark them as normal, abnormal, or not checked. So let me go back. Renee, what do we have a template in?
Hit cancel. You'll have to look on your screen and hit cancel. Do more so what you were checking out. If you want to load a whole template, just go there, grab one, and hit
Use template. There we go. And then you put your provider in, and then I go to exam tab, and there's my preloaded template. Okay? So general appearance is normal, abnormal, or not checked. Okay? Heart and lungs is normal, abnormal, or not checked. If I get down to a place where I want to do an intraoral dentals, okay, I may do it here. I may do a body chart, a dental chart, an eye chart. In this case, I'm just going to pull up a dental chart because I'm here, and I can pull up a dental chart that was saved with a bunch of notations on it on the trade show floor, and I can see that. I can hide the patient and go to the exam and click back on the patient and the exam over here. I can save, undo, and I can take x-rays right from here. If I want to add notes, I can add notes here. The lab, there's nothing in it. There's nothing in the image tab. The notes are pre-defined for that template. So every time I'm doing the canine dental, I can go ahead and put the stuff in here and then just tab stop through it or go to the bottom and add to it. The treatments are already pre-built, so I don't have to retype and reload all that stuff. If I'm going to do a geriatric exam, and I'm going to do a CVC, and I'm going to do this, and this for every geriatric case I bring in, it's all preloaded. I can always delete it. I can put a 0 quantity in it and make it declined, so it shows up on the invoice, goes into the medical record that we offered it and recommended it, but it didn't get charged for. Okay? So what we're here to do today is we're here to take some dental x-rays. You're going to see that permanent charts show up over here. So if I want to see this animal's permanent body chart, I click on the body chart. If I want to click on the permanent exam chart or dental chart, this is probably not a permanent exam chart, a dental chart. It got probably saved. It would be more, I'll show you how to make something permanent. This would look more like an exam template or chart, not a permanent chart. Okay? And I'll get to that in a second. You guys with me? And here's a summary. Okay? So let's go back to our patients. I'm going to close it with this window. Oops, cancels over here. And I'm going to close this. And I'm going to go over here to Adams. And I'm going to click on, I'm going to get a dog just because, there we go. That's there we go. Brutus the Doberman. I want to bring in, I'm going to click and insert a new medical record. Okay, I'm going to click on the exam tab and I'm going to hit this I right here, okay, for insert. And I'm going to go in here and I'm going to put in here dental. This is a very simple way to do it. I'm not using a template in this case for this example. Okay, and I'm going to go ahead and I'm going to click on the chart and I'm going to choose the dental chart. And it brings up the dental chart. If this was a cat, it would bring up the cat dental chart. If it was a guinea pig and you had a guinea pig chart loaded, it would bring in a guinea pig. If you have a horse and you want to do a horse body chart and it was an equine, it would bring in a horse body chart. So these are the way Mike's programmed this and designed this. This is like a transparency going on top of any chart you want. So I'm going to start the dental and I'm looking at this guy. And I'm starting over here at the maxilla incisors, and I go around and I see that I have a missing tooth right there. Okay, this is healthy pink tissue over there. I can't see the pocket. I can't see if there's root tips broken off. I can't see anything. So I'm going to go into my dental chart and I'm going to go up here where the exams are. Okay, and I'm going to choose what I want to choose, and I'm going to choose a tooth. Okay, and I'm going to choose whatever I want to choose, and it goes over here, and I just drag and drop it. And then if I want to take and make that tooth missing, I just go over here to missing and drop that on there. Now, there's probably a pretty good chance that that dog is not going to grow that tooth back. Okay, so the next time I see the dog, I want to mark the tooth as missing. I want to make it part of the permanent record. So to do that, all I have to do is right click, and hit copy to permanent record. And now down here when I save the exam, that missing tooth is going to be shown up on that permanent record. Everything else I do today, with the exception of an extraction or something permanent, you're just going to use as the exam, save it as the exam tab and not as a permanent tab, permanent record. Okay? So this would be very typical. Text looking at the animal's mouth. Now let's say I want to do total mouth score. I just click on this TS over here and I can rate it for plaque, gingival, calculus, and periodontal. Okay? Let's say I don't want to do the total mouth score, but I want to do the quadrants. I want to rate this quadrant separate from this quadrant. Maybe this dog is a breed that has terrible top teeth and not so bad bottom teeth. Okay, so I can click on each quadrant. These are plaque index, gingival index, calculus, and periodontal disease. Okay, or I can do each quadrant and then I could do the overall total score. Okay, like I said, there's nothing like this in the market. That's why I get so charged up about this. Now let's say I go over here and I'm in my exam, which this guy has some bone loss. Back over here, he's got quite a bit of bone loss. Okay, so I'm going to go up here to my exam and I'm going to choose, I'm going to do a periodontal pocket and I'm going to stick my probe in there and it's going to be 5 millimeters. And I'm going to drag and drop that over here and I'm going to go up here to my pocket and I'm going to mark this wherever that pocket is. Now I can get those on there. If I don't get them just right in the exact place, I can just left click on them and drag them where I want to drag them. Okay? Very typical on a large dog to have that happen. The rest of the mouth looks fine. You've got your dental done, you've done all your pockets, you've done all your mobility, all that stuff. Well, let's say, okay, we got a mobile tooth. Okay, we don't have a pocket, but we have a mobile tooth, and that mobile tooth is right there. Okay? So now if I'm a typical doc and the tech just got done, you as a tech just got done doing the dental, typical doc's going to come in, he's going to go like, he or she is going to go like this. They're going to look at the animal's mouth, they're going to look at the chart, and they're going to say, what is it, Sandra, I mean, you know where your problem areas are, right? You can look at the total score and look at the total score. So you're like, all right, let's go ahead and that tooth's missing, but we don't have, I looked in the chart, we don't have any record of taking the tooth out. Did the dog break the tooth off? Did it get taken off by a vet down the street and broke the tips off when they did the extraction? Or did the tooth just fall out and everything's fine? Okay, we don't know unless we don't have record of taking the tooth out, so we're going to probably x-ray it. Every other system out there, I'd have to stop. I'd have to go to another system, another software like Metron or TigerView or Progeny or Schick or whatever. I'd have to enter in Tika's name. I'd have to keep that software updated. I'd have to keep it trained on it, another thing to keep updated, keep supported, keep, you know, everything. And I'd have to leave the entire medical record and go over to some other software. But not with ClienTrax. I can click on this label right here, or this X, where it says add image. I can right click, and I've got the sensor hooked up. I can hit acquire image. It says this Twain device comes up. I'm going to take you guys are way far away from me, so you're good to go. I'm going to go ahead and I'm going to take this missing tooth. Good, Tom. You kidding me? This battery might be dead. Now there it comes. Okay, this is a Nomad. This is a handheld dental X-ray machine. I'm going to pull the trigger once. It says ready. I'm going to bring it down and do my bisecting angle, and it's just going to pop the image right into the medical record without going to any other software. Now I can see clearly that that's just a socket there with no root tip, no nothing. It's good to go. Okay. If I want to get a little closer look at it, I can just hit the plus sign here, bring it up. I can pan it. I can zoom it. I'm going to close it. Now what I can do is I can drag and drop this anywhere I want to in this template, and it's going to automatically label that X-ray where I took it, or where I left it dropped. If I want to view it right here from the dental chart, I can just right click on it and hit view image, okay, and bring it up. If I don't like it, I can right click on it and hit reacquire image, and it'll let me retake it right here. I don't have to leave anywhere, okay? So I'm going to move that up there. Now I'm going to come back here and I'm going to take another X-ray, and I'm going to right click and hit acquire image, and I'm going to move my sensor back here, and I want to see what's going on with this bone loss back here in the back. So I'm going to bring this into my bisecting angle, pull the trigger, and it's going to acquire the x-ray, and there it is. Okay, I like it. I'm going to go ahead and close the viewer, and I'm going to drag and drop this over here. Okay, now if I want to view it, I right click and hit view it. Okay, it brings my viewer up. I want to magnify it. I want to move it out. I can close it. Now, you don't have to put these over the teeth itself. I could put this over here, and as long as I put the center of this rectangle in the chart where it's designed to go, it's going to label it wherever that is. In other words, what we've done is we've done maxilla incisors and mandible incisors, so I know it's the upper or lower incisors. We've done right and left, so we've split the mouth in half, mandible and maxilla. We've split the mouth in half, right and left, just like the template shows. And then we've done mid, dorsal, and rostral. And Dr. Beckman said, Jeff, as long, and a lot of these templates and like Metron, you click on the little teeth and all that, and in some of these charting softwares, you got to have a 108 and a 110, a 110 and a 109. And let's say this dog's bigger than the last dog, and I can't fit all those templates in that chart, so I got to recreate a chart and go back and forth. Not with this software. Wherever I put the center of this square, so in other words, this is going to be maxilla, this is going to be right, and this, what's back? Dorsal or mid, dorsal, rostral. So this is caudal, okay, right? So I'm done. I want to take those two x-rays, that's it. I didn't have to go to any other software. Now what I can do is I can hit save here to save these changes, okay? I'm going to go up here and hit enter or save to save the medical record.
Notice your image tab.
Okay, notice my image tab now is green. If I want to see these images, I click here and they're automatically labeled, depending on where I drop them into the chart.
You have 2 access points.
Yeah, I can see them back in the exam tab in the dental chart and right click on them and bring them up. Okay, or, you know, probably next year, I'm probably not going to go to the dental chart. I can just click on the image tab, and I can click here and see that image right there. Okay? If I want to see it full screen from this image tab within the electronic medical chart, I can click on this E button, and it brings it up in the full viewer. Okay? So this is a refresher course for you guys at Westview. Now what's really cool, let's say that I'm in this medical record, 1 of 1 on Brutus, and let's say that I did an intraoral exam and I found a tumor, okay, which is not uncommon like in cats and stuff. And now I want to take it over to my ScanX, and I want to take a skull shot, okay. Every other software, I'd have to leave ClienTrax, I'd have to go to Metron, I'd have to enter in Brutus's name if I've never taken Brutus's x-rays before, or select Brutus from a separate database within Metron, not within ClienTrax. All I have to do is click on this icon right here. This it looks like a computer screen on the left right here. I click on it and it brings up all of my inventory and service items. If I click right in here, x-ray or radiography or however you have this terminology, and I would suggest we do like radiology skull or radiology thorax 2 view or radiology abdomen study, because what happens is ClienTrax sends the client information and the study information over to your x-ray computer where you have Metron and the ScanX, or where you guys have Fuji and the software. And instead of going over to Fuji and typing in the patient information, we got to get you guys, I know, integrated because they got the work list going now. But we use what's called DICOM modality work list to send the image information, the study information from ClienTrax directly to the computer that's going to acquire the image. Okay? In Michael's case, it's a product called XMaroView, which I have on my computer, which I can show you an example of. But it's just a very simple image acquisition software. You click on the patient because the information from the patient is already there. So you click on the patient, you acquire the image, and then you hit send. And when you send the image over, right in this box right here, it says arrived. Okay, that means it's arrived back in X-ray. When you take the image and hit send, in this window right here, it'll say receive, just like these dental images do. Okay, and then I don't have PACS hooked up on this, so I'm not going to get the air here. I'm just going to cancel through this. Okay, and then when this image comes back of the skull, this icon right here in the middle is going to be lit up. It's going to say received with today's date and timestamp, and it's going to say skull rad right here. And if I want to view that, I just click on it, and a window comes up just like this. Instead of clicking on this E button to launch the JPEG viewer, which these dental images are, I can click on this middle icon right here that's grayed out, and I can bring up a DICOM viewer. Okay? It's embedded into ClienTrax at every ClienTrax workstation, including tablets, notebooks, any of this kind of stuff that I can go in and show patients and clients, and that stuff's cool in the exam room. Using iPads and tablets and stuff to show clients images in exam rooms, because I can just take the, like this and zoom it up, zoom it out. It's like, wow, man, this place is really high tech. Okay? I don't care what you do to do it, but you can do it. Now,
Jeff,
yeah.
I think I missed the step in there. When you go take your image on your phosphorus plate, you run it through your ScanX.
Yeah.
What is your ScanX hooked up to at that point? Like, we have a separate laptop which has our Metron and everything.
So your scanner is on the internet. I'm sorry, on the network. Okay. We are integrated to Metron. There's a little button, you don't know it's there, but there's a little button in Metron that says WL, stands for work list.
Okay.
You click on WL and it launches a window. In this case, Brutus is going to be there, one skull view. You select Brutus from the list. You don't have to type Brutus in.
Okay.
Now the other thing that this does when you order that study is it puts the charge automatically in the treatment tab, so you can't miss charges either.
Yeah.
So you can't mistype information where you get your DICOM tags all screwed up. Susan versus Susie, or Sue versus, and then you send it off to Ohio State or Med Vet, and last week it came in and they entered Susan, and then some other tech knows her as Susie down the street's neighbor, and so she's entered Susie, and you send it over to Med Vet, and it's like Susie Smith, Susan Smith, DICOM tags don't match, it's not the same patient. DICOM was created so that I'm on open heart surgery down at Riverside, and an X-ray tech had a bad night and stayed out too late at the hockey game, and Doug's getting X-rayed, and they said, I'm half asleep, and they send Doug's X-rays up to surgery, and I'm on the table. It can't happen in DICOM. That's what DICOM's for. The DICOM will not accept Doug's images because the date, the birth date, the spelling, the name doesn't match. And so you go over to Dr. Knapp's, who's got a ClienTrax now, but he's got some old software that won't integrate because it doesn't have work lists, which they didn't have work lists, which we have in work lists now. The bottom line is he's got signs all over his clinic. Please make sure you type in the name, the address, the date, everything specific the same way all the time, because I'm tired of getting these things kicked out when I send them over to Pet Rays or MedVet or VDIC or wherever I'm sending them. Speaking of sending stuff, this is really cool, okay? Now let's say that before I send something, let's say that I want to take some pictures, okay? So I want to do some before and after pictures. I want to do before and after pictures of a dental cleaning. I want to do before and after pictures of a lick granuloma. I want to do before and after pictures of a bunged up leg that comes in all messed up with dirt and gravel and stuff in it. Okay? All I have to do with ClienTrax is I can do it three ways. I can click on the I button right here, and it brings me to my picture folder. Now this is the practice tip of the day. I can go to Walmart or wherever online and get an iFi, EYE-FI, and you put it in your digital camera in the place of the memory card, and you walk around the hospital with your digital camera. It uses your wireless network, and you direct it to go always to the same folder. So I can take a picture of the lick granuloma in the exam room. I can take the camera and it goes beep, and as soon as it just goes automatically to this folder. I can take the same camera and go into dental and take the before and after dental pictures, and beep, when I get near my wireless signal, which I'm in my clinic, it goes into this folder. When I click the I button up here, it brings me to the same folder every single time. so you don't have to go searching and dumping and looking and all that for your pictures and plugging in and downloading and all that. I can take the camera in the field and take a picture of the rope burn or whatever, the horse that got caught up in the fence, and take that nasty looking picture with all the blood and pus and stuff. And then when I get back to the clinic and get within the wireless signal, it just beep, the pictures just dump right into the folder. So as long as you have a wireless signal that your camera's picking up, it's just going to put in the same folder. Once you go ahead and click the I button in ClienTrax right up here, okay, it's always going to go back to the same folder. So it's a real efficient, easy way to manage your pictures, along with your x-rays, along with your ultrasound, along with your dental x-rays. Any kind of imaging you can think of, even including like pathology or cytology in a microscope. You know, you can take those pictures now and save them. Yeah.
Like Jason has two sonocytes.
Yeah.
How are you integrating those?
That's a good question. We have sonocytes integrated over at Dr. Hinton's, so we did it. It's done. That's what he's using for ClienTrax?
No, tendons.
Okay. Let me check with him. I'm thinking of something else. I was thinking of the little portable ultrasound they were using for ClienTrax.
Well, it's for,
It's like a yellow machine.
No, it's blue.
So we need to just double check. If he wants to save those, we just need to double check the DICOM connection on that, and if he gives me the brand and the rep, and I can find that out for you.
Nice for him to check those.
Right. Right. So I can add a single picture by clicking it. Renee, jump in if I'm missing anything here. I can click on the single picture to bring in one picture. I mean the single eye. I can hit on the I plus, and that'll allow me to select multiple images at the same time. Hold control, and now I can hit. Oh, I can put 4 images in at the same time. Okay, and that dropped all 4 of those images in there. Now I've got view 1, view 2, view 3, view 4, view 5. Same thing would happen if I used a 3-shot abdomen series, for instance, and I would see the thumbnail previews of the image here. Okay, so those could be body shots, those could be ultrasounds, those could be sonocytes, those could be any images I could think about saving. Okay, and then I can just view them by the view, and then if I wanted, this was a DICOM ultrasound image, I just double click on this icon and it's going to launch my DICOM viewer. Now my DICOM viewer, if I didn't have this integrated to ClienTrax, I'd have to go over here to my Pack Simple study list. Okay, I'd have to click on this and I'd have to bring up all my studies, and then I'd have to go down here and I'd have to search for the right study that I wanted. Okay, and I'd have to find it, and then I would have to double click and bring up that view. Okay, this would be like something you would do with like Metron, and then they would bring up a DICOM viewer that looks like this. Okay, now this DICOM viewer is embedded in ClienTrax, so I don't ever have to leave ClienTrax and come over here and search all those patients out. Okay, if I didn't have an integrated system, I would have to leave ClienTrax. I would have to come over here and I'd have to hit acquire image, and then I have to put in a bunch of information in here and all that stuff, and I just don't have to do any of that because it's all fully integrated with ClienTrax. And there's the DICOM viewer. This is the same DICOM viewer you would have. So if I want to zoom in, all these systems do the same thing. This is the DICOM viewer that launches automatically when I click on that middle computer icon. And we're going to use DICOMs for ultrasounds and x-rays. And we're going to use JPEGs for the small dental images because, quite frankly, I'll show you in a second, dental images are small enough where you don't need the whole DICOM send and all the stuff that you need for larger images. Okay? Those little thumbnails that you see in the view, Sandra, those aren't DICOM images. Those are really small little JPEG thumbnails which allow you to reference what you're actually going to pull up in the DICOM viewer. So what happens when I click on that middle icon, ClienTrax is smart enough to go query the ClienTrax PACS, PACS, which stands for Picture Archive and Communications. It's smart enough to use the accession number that was ordered from when the study was ordered to go into the PACS, which is a fancy word for an electronic filing cabinet of all your x-rays. It's just a separate computer that sits there. Yours is Metron now, it's a database. It goes and queries that study from that day, from that accession number. It brings it up into ClienTrax and launches it in this viewer right here. And then when you close it down, it puts it back into that file drawer a separate from your ClienTrax data file, so you don't bog down the whole system with all these DICOM images. So if you're looking at digital, we have to make sure that we have the integration, that you have to make sure you either buy it from us or look at a company that has a DICOM modality work list, which they didn't have in Westview. They had the equipment that was capable of doing it, but back when they bought it 5 or 6 years ago, they had Intravet that wasn't integrated, and so they had no reason to have it, so it was never installed, even though they bought it. So I had to go in with Westview, we had to pull in an X-ray dealer, and they had to come in and pay $600 to bring them in and install the DICOM work list so that the integration would work. If you buy the equipment from us, we got it all taken care of. It's one call, one responsibility. You don't have to call Cotro for this, and this guy for that, and this guy for that. Had a Dr. Piskarik out in East. She, we did some testing with a company. She was starting up a new clinic. She had made up her mind she wanted to buy this particular X-ray brand. Drake got a hold of the X-ray guy, and we did some testing. Well, lo and behold, they got involved with Impromed. Okay, we used common DICOM standards, by the way, which allows us to hook the Metron, which allows us to hook to a pre-existing Fuji. As long as you pick the right system and talk to us about it. She's saying, what about Sonosite? I can talk to her or Jason, and we can find out, you know, who's the manufacturer, does it have DICOM, does it have DICOM work list, and if it doesn't, here's what it's going to cost to upgrade it, yada yada. Well, we did the testing, okay, and it worked, and then it worked with Impromed on a project which was not common DICOM standard. It was a proprietary software integration. They made some changes to their software. The doctor buys the system. I show up, fly out there with our packs, and I'm going to show her, do all the training and integration and all that, and it won't work. Spend 3 hours on the phone with them, back and forth. Well, you know, it's it. Yeah, no, back and forth. Back 2.5 months later, they got their act together, and it finally worked. Okay, but that's why we got in this business to begin with, because Renee and Michael were taking all these calls all these years. Hey, I want to do digital X-ray. What do you guys recommend? What works with ClienTrax? Okay, and so all the customers were calling. We want to go digital. We want to go digital. We want to go dental. We want to do this. We want to do CR. We want to go DR. We want to do everything. So I just joined the company, and I've been doing digital X-ray and dental and all that stuff for 8-10 years, and so that's why I'm here. We got the most integrated system in the entire market. There's nothing like this dental integration anywhere in the world. It's pretty cool. This DICOM is really cool. Let's say that, let me see here. I want to send the study, I want to push this study over to MedVet, okay? I can just select MedVet right here, okay, and I can hit send, and it goes directly to MedVet. I can send it to Ohio State, I can send it to PetRays, I can send it to VDIC, I can send it to anywhere that has a DICOM server, okay? What it does is it uses the internet, okay, to send a raw DICOM image to their viewer, but it doesn't send it as an email attachment because that's going to be too large of a file, and most email servers are going to kick it out as a true DICOM. So all I did there, guys, is I'm in my viewer, in my exam room, okay? I bring up this particular view, and I come over here, and I zoom in on the sock, okay, or whatever's going on here, and I say, you know, I don't really know what's going on here. I want to push this study over to PetRays. I click on study, and I hit push study, and boom, I hit send, and it goes right to PetRays, okay, right from the exam room. Now let's say that I want to make a report, so I can go here to study, and I can go dictate, and you can get a microphone, and you can, I don't have a microphone set up here. It's going to act like I do. But I can go and I can just start talking, okay? And I can just, this is, you know, this is what radiologists do all the time. They use what's called Dragon. We brought Dragon, voice recognition software. And they'll just pull this image up, and they'll have 2 or 3 monitors and say, well, this dog's got, you know, diverticulitis, okay? And then you'll notice, I don't know if you guys noticed, but over here in the work list, and I'm going to close the viewer now. This is the recording. Okay, I can save it. Probably would have recorded me, honestly. But if I close the viewer now and go back to the work list study, you'll notice that down here in the work list, now I got to do all this. I don't have to do this when it's integrated to ClienTrax. You'll notice down here in the work list, that particular study, that was right there, or again, I don't know where these are because, okay, right there. there's the dictation of that report that was tied to that dictation is showing up right here, that speaker is. If you had written some notes on that exam, it would show up as a notepad there. And it automatically attaches that dictation report or that note report right to that exam. So if you send this off to MedVet or Ohio State and a radiologist reads it and they send the report back, the report can be attached as part of the medical record in the PACS. So whenever you bring up that PACS viewer or that DICOM viewer, the report from the radiologist is right there. It's pretty cool. We're working with PetRays right now that the SOAP report will come right back into the medical record just like the lab report would for chemistry. So they'll send a radiology or an ultrasound report right back and it goes right directly into the image tab of the medical record as a report line instead of an image. So you can just double click on it and show the client right there what it says. Alright, so it's really, really cool. I get excited and passionate about this stuff. There's also, and I don't know if I have it set up here, it may not be on this particular viewer. I can burn a CD. Okay, right here it says, where does it say CD? Anyway, I can burn a CD. Hold on a second. I can burn a CD, which is fine. You put the CD in, you burn the CD, hand the CD to the patient. There's also a feature called Virtual CD, which is really cool. You guys would like this. You click on Virtual CD. You can type any email. You guys were using that. I think we got that set up for you. You can type any email address in the Virtual CD line. It sends a DICOM email, but not as an email attachment. It sends a link, okay, and there's a password, and you can set the view images for 0 to 15 days. And you send them a link to their email. You can send it to Jason, you can send it to Ohio State, you can send it to Dr. Zimmerman, you can send it to Dr. Stone, you can send it wherever you want, up to all these different emails. They log on to their email. It says you have an email from RadStore, which is our PACS. It says click on this link. It launches a DICOM viewer, type in this password, and you can view the image from anywhere you have the internet. That's pretty cool. You don't have to burn the CD and now physically manually take that CD to the referral center. You can just do a virtual CD, which is basically the same as doing a real CD, but you don't have to courier the CD or hand deliver the CD. Now you can do both. You can burn them a CD or you can send them a virtual CD. So they go home and they see it. You can also print out a report that you can give them with the invoice. Instead of sending them an email link, they can just log on to radstore.com and type in their password, and then they can view the image from anywhere they have an internet connection. Okay, so that's pretty cool as well. All right, so I'm going to get out of here and I'm about ready to wrap up. One other thing that I think is really cool with this whole thing, and that's getting images over to radiologists, Dr. Klein, Dr. whoever, okay? So let's say that I don't know what's going on in this mouth, and this tooth right here may need a root canal. I just don't know what's going on here. And I want to send this down to Dr. Klein in Columbus. And I want Dr. Klein to call me back and say, Dr. Klein, you know, this bone should be way up here, it's way back here. What would you do with this tooth? He'd probably tell you to extract it before it falls out like this one did. Okay? This may or may not be mobile. So I click on this icon right here, and it's going to bring up the medical record for Brutus and his age and all at 15 years and 8 months and record and weight and all that. It's going to bring up your logo right here, and it's going to bring up your hospital information over here, and it's going to have that picture or x-ray or ultrasound for that particular one record. And I hit email right here, and anything that I can do this for in pictures, I can do it for lab results, I can do it for anything in ClienTrax. So I can just type in an email address and it goes directly to wherever I want to send it, right from there. Now let's say I want to do what I call the instant oil change. I want to show the value of why I'm going to charge these guys $500 today. Okay? I'm not just going to give them an invoice for $500. When I go to pick up my car from the instant oil change place, they don't say it's $69.95, Jeff. They give me a 3-page report. Here's your black runny transmission fluid. Here's the bright red thick stuff. Here's your air filter. Here's your this, this. Here's your tire pressure, yada yada. So you give them the $800 bill, and they're like, ooh. I get home, it's like, Joy, you spent what? $800 for a dental? Or do you go over here to this tab right here, the printer icon, and you click on the current page, and it brings up the entire medical record, including the dental chart, including any before and after pictures that I took, any x-rays that I took, or ultrasounds, or before and after purchase exams, or whatever you're doing, okay? And you have the whole entire medical report right there, so I click print, or Mrs. Smith, would you rather me save the trees today? I'll just email it home. When you get home, you can just look at it on your own computer. I can hit email and just email it right to them. By the way, I can email them invoices too. You know, you can rack their credit card, fully integrated credit card processing, no signature required because it's encrypted and stuff, unless you want to. But I can just rack their credit card right in the integrated processing we talked about this morning. Would you like that email printed, or would you like an email copy of that today, Mrs. Smith? Well, I'd like it emailed. You just click on the email tab on anything in ClienTrax that's above. You can save it as a PDF, you can save it as an attachment, you can print it, or you can email it. So would you like that report emailed, or would you like me to print it out for you today? Oh, email's great. I'd like to forward it to my cousin, or my friend, or my husband at work, or the referring veterinarian at MedVet, or wherever you want to do. Okay? Am I missing anything here, Renee? I mean...
One thing, there is a middle of the road thing. This is really nice if you do need to send a referral out, but you know a lot of your clients really aren't understand half of what's in the medical record. If you print the exam tab only,
so if I go to the exam,
and hit the printer at the upper right of that exam
right here,
tab,
that's probably not a real good example, but
are you?
I just inserted I just did a quick insert of I should go to Tika.
Do you have Kaiser in there?
I can go to Kaiser. What's Kaiser's last name?
Collins, under Margie.
So I'm just going to go over here, guys, and type in CO. It's going to bring all my Collins up, right there, Margie. And I go to Kaiser. And I go to Kaiser's medical record. And I go to Kaiser's exam tab, which I have a green.
Let's go back. He's got one very full
right there.
detailed record.
Okay. So here's normal, abnormal, not checked on general. If I want to put an eye chart in there, I can click right here. I get to edit it. If you got password, you can edit it. I can put an eye chart in. Okay, I'm not saying I would, but this is electronic medical records, right? And if I have pink eye over here, okay, or if I want to do a body chart, I can do a body chart. I'm going to undo changes because it's not pertinent to this. But if I want to come down here and do a body chart, I just click on here and do a body chart, and it brings up my body chart. Okay? I can do a guinea pig chart or wherever, because like I said, the way we designed this is this is like a transparency over top of any chart, and where you save it, it's going to bring it up every time the same place. So this is all electronic medical records. This is all going paperless. This is where I can do my abnormal, not checked, or normal. Put all my notes in here. Any lab reports that you have are going to show up right there. I don't have an exam, an image or notes, but I do have treatments. All of my treatments are going to show up there, and my summary is going to show up there. To Renee's point, if I go over here and I'll print on this printer icon right here, now it's going to bring up.
So practices that do want to give their clients something more than just their receipt, but not so much as the entire record, they do kind of get, quite a bit excited about the fact that this part of the medical record is designed specifically for that. Just to give the client a report card on the health of their animal for today's check.
They really get into this thing, and we start getting into the reminders and stuff, and the online appointment scheduling. We can send vaccine reminders with Kaiser's picture. People get all warm and fuzzy about stuff like that. You can even look at Kaiser and say, I don't have, this isn't Kaiser, it's a white poodle. This is not Kaiser, I'm in the wrong room, honestly. And I mean, you use your iFi to snap all these pictures when they first come in, and it just goes right up there and you put it in the record, and people love that. Okay? We got about 10 minutes left. I don't know what's left on our presentation.
Can I ask a couple questions?
Yes.
Who just bought? Somebody just...
They're in the middle, they've just got, they're in the middle of a digital x-ray integration, but they've been trained.
Do you mind if I take your question, some answers? What were you using prior to go into ClienTrax?
IntraVet.
And what, I mean, why did you switch? And specifically, what were you worried about when you made the switch?
I believe it was for the integration of the DR machine that we were getting to do the x-rays out in the field.
Okay. And were you worried? I mean, you're used to using the other program, and then all of a sudden there's this learning curve. I mean, did that freak you out, or?
Yes. It still does, but I've used Intravet for 13 years, so switching to ClienTrax, it's just going to take some time. It is different. It does seem to be working good.
Any staff revolt or anything, or?
It doesn't matter. They can revolt all they want. This is what we're going with. But no, it's what we got to learn, what we got to do, and that's what we're doing.
Cool.
They're about 3/4 of the way through their training, and the conversion's been done. Renee's going to be going back in there the next couple days into their group of 4 hospitals. They're in a unique situation where they have a computer network that is in an existing old, smaller building, and they're building a brand new clinic. One of the things they added dental x-ray, they added a DR portable panel, and they're going to integrate to their existing ultrasound and their existing Fuji CR. So they added 2 modalities, which is dental x-ray and a DR panel, and they're integrating to 2 existing modalities, and they're moving into a brand new facility where they're going to be putting in a brand new computer network. So the doctor there, Dr. Zimmerman, he didn't want to have all the stuff new at the same time with a new hospital and new everything. So he decided to convert his software over first, a couple of months prior to him. They were going to be moving in sometime in May. So he wanted to get the conversion done so that there wouldn't be so much change all at the same time. Now when they get into the new hospital, they're going to have a new computer network. They're going to have computers everywhere. They're going to have drops. I walked through before drywall and told him exactly where he needed to put his network drops and all that sort of stuff. And so it's going to be a state-of-the-art, 4 modalities, fully integrated with electronic medical records and everything when it's all said and done.
What was the learning curve? Or what, I mean, you're in the middle of it now.
Good. ClienTrax tech support has been very, very helpful, and we call them multiple times a day, to be honest, because there's something new coming up all the time. So, but it's been pretty good.
Good. That's all. Just curious. Do you guys want to comment on it too, or you've been using it for a while, right?
We've actually been a ClienTrax user since 2001, so
wow.
We've actually gone through the steps with them. We've grown how much we're using ClienTrax. We started out using ClienTrax just as a checkout system, basically, how to keep we had a client card, we had the patient cards, but we mainly used it just as a checkout system, and then we started using the appointment, and then we started and then we went to medical records about 2 years ago now, big electronic medical records about 2 years ago now, and we just recently upgraded to the server system and the PACS.
Yep.
And the PACS worked great until one of our hard drives on our server went bad, and it's not working so good right now, but it will once we get it all replaced, and they've been great about it. But so it's been a learning curve for my staff. I had a 70-year-old woman who needed to finish some stuff with Social Security come in and work for me, and she learned ClienTrax. So that tells you how easy the system can be to learn basics. Now, the more advanced stuff, yeah, it takes some time, but the basics of it, working within a client card, working within a patient card, working with the appointment scheduler, it's pretty easy. So, we've been using it a lot. I still talk to support quite frequently. There's little things, and an upgrade always makes some changes that change stuff, but for the most part, we haven't really had any problems with it. So.
Did you want to comment? Did you just make the move too?
Me?
Yeah.
No, actually, I am an owner.
Oh, okay.
I'm the
Makes
first
sense.
original trainer. So
I'm the first original owner.
All right.
But I brought up questions I know I get that you've seen during these sessions, but I know people ask me during training. So knowing that we do have new users here, if some questions didn't come up from them, they might have just not gotten deep enough into it to have thought of them yet. So that's why I bring it up, because that'll ask eventually.
I'm a little more open than Drake maybe. My experience has been, as I tell people, it's a 4 to 6 week anxiety, pain in the neck. It's like going to the dentist. You know you have to go. You don't really want to go. You know it's probably going to be uncomfortable, but you go anyway. It's change. We cannot eliminate change. I don't care if the situation that's going on with Intravet right now is why we're having so many people convert, is because they haven't had any support and upgrades for 7 years. They closed down the office here in Columbus and 60 people lost their jobs several years ago, and we were able to hire a lot of those people back that we could, like Doug and Drake and Ben Coyle and Craig Marcus and anybody else we can bring onto our team that we can get our hands on, because now Butler, who acquired Avamark and Impromed, is doing the same exact thing. They went to work for Butler over Dublin, and now they're moving the DVM manager to Wisconsin and merging in with Impromed. So now Ben Coyle, who worked at Intravet since 2001 until Webster closed their facility down here in town, went over to Butler. Now after 5.5 years, he's lost his job, and now he's come to work for us. So he knows Impromed, he knows Avamark, he knows Intravet, and now he knows ClienTrax very, very well. So he's a great tool and asset, just like Doug is, to have on our team, and Drake. The point is, look, I don't care what you're going to change from. Even if you went from the existing Intravet, I'm looking at you now, the new Intravet they're saying has been coming out for 5 years. They say it's going to come out really soon. We'll see. But the change from the new Intravet from the existing Intravet to the new Intravet is going to be so much, because we've talked to people that have previewed it, is going to be just as different as going from Intravet to ClienTrax. The only difference is with Doug and Ben Coyle and these people, they know Intravet, whereas the people that may or may not come in, like the Impromed person, if you decide to go with Impromed, may not know Intravet like our staff does. It's all about, I'll be honest with you guys, we have some cool features and benefits. I mean, our product is loaded with features and benefits. A lot of people don't use half of what's in it. It's all there if you want to use it. Allegra's shaking her head. It's probably taken her 10 years of using Intravet, ClienTrax, to get to where you're at now. I mean, for instance, you had it since when?
We've had it since 2001.
Right.
And like I said, we've done everything in steps, and we're actually about to take the next step. We haven't been using the diagnosis and the other parts of the medical record, the problem tab.
Yep.
And we're going to be moving to use those here shortly. I took going paperless in steps, and that's the next step for us. And we're also going to be starting to use the whiteboard feature, which you haven't really mentioned.
Right.
We're going to start using that whiteboard feature a lot. We bought a great big monitor, and the marker board in the lab is gone.
I'm gonna have to. I know Dr. Stone wants to use this a lot. I'm gonna have to punt over to Renee and Doug on this one. But here's our whiteboard. We have a whiteboard, and then the census is also. Where's the census under file?
It's under the whiteboard. You've got the square buttons.
Over up here.
Go down to the lower left corner of the screen. There are 10 square buttons.
In the background.
Doug, you drive. I don't know this. Outside of my expertise here now.
That's all right. Right here, this guy right here.
So while he's talking about it, we got a very large monitor. So I don't remember the size for sure, but it's a real big one. Size of the big giant marker board we've had in our lab for forever. Yes, it was a little costly, but the nice thing is that computer is mainly going to stay on that whiteboard, so our staff can look and see who's in surgery, who's in, what treatments do we need to do, and it's all, the treatments are integrated into that medical record, the lab, what you need to do lab-wise, so they can look up there and say, oh yeah, I got to do a heartworm test on this animal or whatever. Same with imaging, you can look up on that image list and see.
Right. These three windows, this right-hand third of the whole whiteboard, split into another set of three. What Allegra is referring to are the individual tabs that are part of the medical record screen. Jeff was taking us through the images area for the most part. Well, when he has some radiographs that have not yet been looked at, they all say arrived, of course. Here we've got some received, not arrived. We can highlight this particular image and go straight to that medical record. Okay, yes, we don't have full connection here to things. But this way we can start looking at our pictures if we had our PACS server connected into our network, so that we could do exactly what Jeff was saying. It's a tie-in. The whiteboard ideal is it's a tie-in to be able to touch each of those different medical records instead of trying to say, okay, now what was that animal, who's in my hospital, so on and so forth, which is also what the census window does. Who's in my hospital? Where are they located? Are they in Ward 1? Or they... Well, that was this little button back here. I'm overlaying a whole lot of pictures on my small screen, but the census can give us a little bit of idea of where this animal is located. I'll probably get the different wording wrong, but W stands for ward. Usually these numbers are indicating what page number we're talking about in the building. In this case, Muffy's got a little bit of like an operator warning, patient warning.
No, it can be launched from any workstation.
Yeah.
Allegra is just saying they put a monitor in the center of their hospital where they can view it from the center of the hospital without kind of going up to. It's kind of like just like where a regular whiteboard would be. And you'll notice here, anytime you're on the whiteboard or in the census, you can get to the client card, the patient card, or the medical record of that patient just by clicking on it. I can see all my patients, or I can click up here and go to the provider. So if Dr. Berger, or I want to see only Dr. Berger's patients who just walked in, how you doing? She can just click on her provider, and she can see all of her stuff that's under her care in the hospital. This is the whiteboard. You go to File, Whiteboard.
Or the F10 key.
Or the F10 key. All right. And then the census is within the bottom of right there. It's a census. Okay. Now, you go to provide right over there where it says right there.
Instead of all doctor providers, you'll pick your code or initials. Okay.
So in Dr. Berger's case, she put in a DR panel. They're in Pittsburgh in a nice, real quaint area with upstairs, downstairs, a satellite wellness clinic around the corner. And we did a lot of work with her on her X-ray because her X-ray is upstairs and all the exam rooms are downstairs. And so we were very specific in the way we set up her X-rays, and we did, right front extremity, left front extremity, thorax study, abdomen study. So now they can go to the whiteboard over there where it says X-ray, radiology. Instead of saying dental radiology or radiology, a different view, it says X-ray left front extremity. So from a communications perspective, she can be down in her exam room, order up an X-ray, and show up in the whiteboard if she's using it. They know that they got to go up and take X-rays. When they get up to XMARO view, they launch it and it says what patient we're in, sham or whatever it is.
Tika's the one that needs Tika's the one that has the treatments listed. This is showing everything under Dr. CJJ. Depending on who I highlight here, this is the specific activities for Kaiser. Kaiser really doesn't have anything, even though they have a medical record going. But Tika's the one that's got all the images.
That's not normal. We use Tika all the time for our demos, and so it's a little abnormal that Tika's got 15
Tika's
or 25.
Glow in the dark in about a week, right?
So we used to use certain patients for our demo equipment, and that's what this is demo equipment. So that's a little abnormal. But in her case, we wanted to be as specific with our X-ray study information so that we wouldn't have to communicate. We go to a lot of clinics and they say X-ray 2 view. What does that tell me? We'll do all that for you guys when you get in your new hospital as well. When we had to grow, we just kind of set you up a little bit temporarily because you guys are, going to be so much different when you get over there. I'm looking behind you now, Dr. Berger.
The fun part to grow into the whiteboard is that capability, as Allegra's alluded to, having this, get rid of the dry erase version, having this large monitor that they're going to mount on the wall and have a control like this. I mean, it could look like this, and anyone can walk up to that screen and go, okay, either what do I need to do for Dante by clicking over here, or I can focus more on individual treatments list. What do I have to do through the day, or what do I have to do in the images through the day? And of course, as I highlight and focus on this side, it reverts back this way as well.
So Renee, if I wanted to take vitals on Kaiser and Kaiser was in the hospital, how do I do the vitals? Can I do it from the whiteboard here, or do I have to go to the medical record?
Once you have it highlighted, then
Highlight Kaiser.
There's pretty much the MedRec button is almost anywhere on the screen.
But it depends on what section you're going to.
Right. Highlight.
Specifically want to go, for example, the medical section, or the doesn't have but that is used day in and day out, especially for people that have integrated references. You never really know kind of who's coming in. You can have a system where a specific person is supposed to check and they'll do a paper doctor doesn't have to do that. Doctor can go to any computer they want to log in on and click the whiteboard and then just look. Do I have any right there? And then they can just hit that last and then that brings that record to the and then mark it as unique.
I'm currently I'm currently doing some extra or catch-up phone training with a office manager husband of a practice over in Virginia, and we've been discussing situation of doing more, going more of a paperless style. They've been only using ClienTrax for a year and a piece, but we were talking about the idea of setting up on a medical record, setting up a sequence of treatments where vitals are being taken at certain times of the day or certain number of days in a hospital stay, or medication administration, things of that nature. But what we basically brainstormed on was saying, okay, if your gang is gung-ho about putting in the treatment plan on the original medical record, this is where the whiteboard comes into play, and now the staff comes to their supersized screen and goes, okay, I've got to administer medication, I've got to take vitals, I need to do a certain feeding of some sort, and take all those measurements. And exactly what we're talking about is highlight our activity that we need to do. Certainly I could mark it as completed. This is where we get one of those time stampers, and if it's one of those vital situations, we can get our temperature, pulse, and respiratory. But ultimately I'm typing in my password, and when I hit tab, it lets me put in my comments, maybe other measurements, other types of text. Okay. Ultimately, still highlighted, I go to the medical record, and this would have already been marked as completed had I typed in all of that information. I'm not sure what the passwords are for your login, guys. But with that hospital administrator been discussing on the phone, his group goes straight to this notes section, and they've created certain layouts and templates that they've loaded in the early part of this visit, where it already does, Jeff had mentioned the word tab stopping, which means I've got all these words with highlighted areas that if I just hit the tab key on my keyboard, the cursor jumps right to the end of that title saying insert my information here, basically. What's the measurement? What's the observation? What's the deal here? Okay, so he and I are kind of having a little fun building all of this up, and he goes, yeah, this will be one of those make it or break it situations for some of my staff members. But we're all doing it. We all want to do it, kicking and screaming, pom-poms and cheers, everywhere in between. But, you know, that goes back to a lot of what we were talking about early in the program, that we are We are going to have a plan, work the plan, tweak the plan, but everybody has to be on board. Practice, practice, practice.
One of the things that I also recommend is we had goals that we hit along the way of learning and getting to those points, and we had rewards. We had parties, we had pizza parties and all kinds of stuff that as the staff learned and got good at whatever it was, that we rewarded. We really got to work towards something and have a goal.
Dr. Mooney and Allegra put it in 2001 and added as they went, as we've talked throughout the last 2 hours, by the year, every 3 years. Went from totally medical paper records to scanning all the records in. And we just talked, I'm looking at Dr. Berger now. Dr. Berger went from converting from Intravet, adding digital X-ray, going paperless, all in one full swoop. So it was a lot to take on. So she went from where you're at today, from Intravet one day to where you're at today, like right now. And it's as she'll probably tell you, it's 6 weeks of. Again, you know the dentist is going to hurt. You know it's going to be uncomfortable. I want to go to the dentist, but I don't want to go to the dentist. I have to go to the dentist. I want to convert because I can't get support. I can't get upgrades. You know, we're dedicated, we're learning, we're here to help and support you. We'll keep coming back, we'll get you online, we'll do whatever we can. I'll be going back to Dr. Berger's, I'm sure, when I go to Dr. Bennett's in a couple weeks, and just, hey, how's it going? Can I sit down with you and show you your x-ray, dental x-ray? You know, we got Renee and Mike over there because we had a lot of issues 10 issues or whatever to sync up. And anyway, go ahead.
Just like clients have choices in cutting edge, people have choices in software, hardware, whatever. It will all be made or broken by training and support.
Yeah. Oh. And we're improving and growing and adding key people like Ben Coyle just joined us, and Craig Marcus just joined us. So Ben's been new since he was with Intravet in 2001. Okay, all right. So we'd have liked to have Ben's experience when we did your conversion, but the point is we're adding people, we're adding good people, we're adding qualified people, we're adding experienced people, and yeah, Ben, Craig, and Doug are great assets to have on our team. We're proud and lucky to have them. You know, we've grown rapidly. We're going to continue to grow rapidly. We're in the right place at the right time. We give you our cell phone numbers. We come and see you. It's not going to be easy. It's going to be 4 to 6 to 8 weeks of brutality and anxiety, and just you can't avoid it. I mean, she'll tell you, and we get to the point. We hope it's a 20-year decision you're making. 2001. We hope that we're your partner along the way. Not only as things grow, and we got things that you've never seen, and you've only had it for 4 months or whatever. Online appointment scheduling, wellness program, all fully integrated. This is all brand new in the last 4 months. All this dental imaging we just did 2 or 3 months ago. When I say fully integrated into the medical record, we probably made more changes in the last 4 months. I know we have made than a lot of other softwares have made in the last 4 years. So all that stuff comes with a lot of learning and sharing and.
I trained a client just not too long ago that had been using Intravet. And sometimes the longer you've been doing the same thing every day, the more you get nervous about having to learn something new you're already set your way. And this clinic actually, they were really comfortable with the way they were all doing it. So they
Here's one for you. Dr. Guy is a guy in Pennsylvania, and he's a single practice owner. He decided he was going to convert. He decided he was going to buy the product, convert from Intravet. He didn't tell his staff at all because he didn't want to hear him complain for 2 months after he'd already made the decision about not changing. Did they tell you guys? Did Dr. Zimmerman?
With us originally.
Did Dr. Zimmerman tell you guys you were changing? Dr. Geist didn't tell his staff they were changing, and Renee showed up to do the training, and they're like, well, I'm with ClienTrax, and what are you doing here? Well, we're converting today.
Staff 2 days before we
Because he didn't. He said, Jeff, he goes, I made up my mind I was going to convert. I couldn't get any support, service, whatever. And I said, I made up my mind. It was my decision. I didn't want to hear the chin and belly aching for 2 months. And I just didn't even tell him. I'm not sure I recommend that, but.
Well, he went through it a handful of years ago before when he came to us when we were at IntraVet. He did tell the staff, and yeah, there was a lot of anxiety prior.
So we're wrapped. We got our next session is on inventory management, a whole nother aspect of the product. Doug and Ben are going to be here to present that. If you have any questions, I'll be here all the rest. Well, we have a reception after this at from 5:30 to 7, I think, right up here. And feel free to come back. We'll have some cocktails and stuff. I'll be at the trade show floor the rest of the time. I was not there a lot today because I was up here. But all day tomorrow I'll be there. If you want to see dental, anything that we showed you specifically here that you want to do a little more training on, feel free to stop by and see us. Mike's down there. I don't know if Mike's going to be there tomorrow, or Renee's here. We're going to have a lot of our support people here tomorrow, I know. So if you haven't had a chance to meet someone face to face, you can stop and see them. We've got a couple interns down there, so we got a nice staff down there of people that we're committed. We're going to be here to help you. We joined a great organization with a great product, and we're proud to be here. And that's about all I can say. It's been great.
One of the things for veterinary medicine is family, right? Say your dad's in your practice, my mom is my own. Over the years, ClienTrax and the people there have become family. And that's important because that's what's important. That's the veterinary medicine, and that's what's important to me. Because I get to know the people that I work with on a regular basis.
And that's what we plan to be going forward. All right. We've had rapid growth. We're planning more rapid growth. When Drake and I joined the company, we made number 6 in the company. Today we have about 15 people. Next year this time we'll have about 20 people if we plan to grow, continue to grow like we're growing. We've added all this new technology and all this new features and benefits, like I said, in the last 4 months. It's pretty awesome what's going on. State-of-the-art stuff that the seminar this morning was really, really good. And we're going to have, again, Dr. Berger, I told him earlier, we're taping all these sessions.